I was at Barnes & Noble of all places, and I came across this Joel and Ellie 12 scale figure set discounted, and as a huge fan of The Last of Us, I knew I had to pick this one up just to take a look at it. At the moment, I don't have any other 12 scale figures in my collection, so these are actually my first ones, and this set is actually by Spin Masters, and it is an officially licensed PlayStation product, so I'm pretty excited. I know there's actually some other ones out there as well, like when I looked them up online, I saw Jin Sakai, I saw Kratos, so if this one goes well and I actually end up liking them, then maybe I'm gonna go track those ones down and you guys will see them on the channel. But for now, let's actually get this in the light box and open it up. So another thing to add is that I typically collect 6 scale figures, and those ones are pretty pricey, so that's why this one being discounted down around 45 bucks. When I saw it, it was a pretty good deal. So 6 scale wise, a company called Lim Toys, which also made the Nathan Drake I recently reviewed on my channel, is making a Joel, Ellie, and Clicker from The Last of Us Part 1. And I am very excited for those because the Nathan Drake was awesome, but that triple pack is a little over $700, so it's a bit pricier than this one being only $45. So yeah, I'm excited to take a look at these. So you can see I'm a huge fan of The Last of Us since I'm going to spend that much on some Last of Us figures, but these ones are going to time me over for now until those ones release. And these ones, yeah, just look at them through the plastic, they look pretty great. But enough yapping, because you all know that every good unboxing must start with the box, and this one looks pretty good. You can see it's white with like the little bit of blue for the PlayStation, and the packaging inside it's blue in the back. And one thing I love about this is that you can actually see the figures inside. So before you buy it, if you see it in the store, you can just take a look at it and be like, yeah, it looks good, or that doesn't, and say, yep, I'm gonna get that. And then here you can see images of Joel and Ellie from the game, specifically The Last of Us Part 1, because that's the remake version. They didn't look this good in the PlayStation 3 version, but the figures themselves could be from any version of the game. PS3, PS4 Remastered, The Last of Us Part 1, whichever you want, even the PC edition, and yes, I played every single version. And you can just see down here, it says Joel and Ellie, The Last of Us, 2-pack 6-inch figures, and 12 scale is basically 6-inch figures, are basically the same thing. Sometimes the sizing's a little different. But since my whole channel is kind of themed around different scales of different collectibles, I'm just going to call them 12 scale figures. And you can see they have 30 plus points of articulation. Then go into the bottom real quick. Feel free to pause and read if you really want to. And then now go into the back. You can also pause and read if you want. The back of the packaging looks awesome as well. I kind of like that subtle gray here showing like the background, the whole destroyed city, and then just Joel and Ellie there once again. Then of course you can see this is an official licensed product from PlayStation by Spin Masters. Just briefly sliding up on the side of the box, you see Joel, Ellie, and some more words. And then this side of the box says The Last of Us, some awesome artwork from Part 1 and the Shapes collection. So this is part of the Shapes collection, and like I said, if I like these, yeah, I'm going to go track down the rest. So now sliding these out of the box, you can actually see the blue background I was talking about. It's blue because it fits with the PlayStation color scheme, and then also you can just see the city there. But now, of course, we have the main event, Joel and Ellie with all their different accessories. Let's just pop these out real quick and take a look at them. So that was a fight to get them out of the box, but just giving you my initial impressions, yeah, these look pretty good. I mean, they're a smaller scale, so the details aren't going to be as great as 6 scale. And yes, that's my point of reference because that's what I usually collect. But just looking at these, I am impressed. So what we'll do now is I'll take everything out of that container and we'll look at the rest of the accessories. So you can see they actually give you a lot of accessories for Joel and Ellie. So starting off with Joel's backpack, I am pretty impressed. Of course, you can't open it or anything, but the actual plastic here used for the actual straps is pretty soft, so it's going to be easy to get on them. And you can see the detail for the duct tape, the straps, the actual wrinkling and everything, and this just looks really, really good. And you can even see these little straps on the sides that you can actually slide his weapons into, which is awesome. And I love that you can actually see his flashlight right there. That looks great. Now moving on to Ellie's backpack, hers also looks so good. You can see the little monster down there, it's pink, and that paintwork is phenomenal. Then of course you can see the rest of her badges on her backpack, and this is great. The paintwork, the fine details are really well done. Something to call out though is that down here you can see a bit of like white in here, which I don't think is intentional. It's probably just some mistakes working with this plastic. But her backpack straps are the same way, a nice soft plastic so you can bend them, get them on her arms. You can see the detail there for the actual like duct tape around the straps. Then you can see the flashlight as well. And I love the color scheme for this backpack. And same for her, you actually get the 2 straps on the sides to hold some of the weapons. Now for the hands, starting off with Joel's. So for this scale, you can see the hands are actually pretty nicely detailed. You can see a little bit of vein work in there. You can see like the knuckles, the hands, of course, are all just kind of stuck together. And yes, you can see seam lines all around it. One cool thing, which I kind of wish that 6 scale companies did, is that you actually get a wrist peg with every single hand. And this one, you can actually articulate a little bit. You can like bend it down so you can give them a little bit of wrist movement. Not all the hands have that, but some of them do. So that's great, and you can also see some detail in there for the palm and these hands. I'm pretty impressed. Since these are my first 12 scale figures, honestly, I didn't expect a ton, and they're already blowing me away. You get a gripping hand for the left and right side. You get a right trigger finger hand and then a left kind of weapon bracing hand for like the shotgun or the rifle. Then you get another right gripping hand, which I believe this one's probably for the machete just based on that hand opening size. And right out of the box for the figure, you get a left and right closed fist. Now we can look at Ellie's hands. As expected, hers are smaller and you actually get some detail in there for the part of the shirt that actually comes over her hands. You can see hers are a little rougher. I mean, missing some paint in some places, some overlap on the paint. And yeah, there's a little bit of detail in there. She's younger, so her hands aren't going to be as weathered as Joel's, but yeah, they just look okay. They're going to get the job done. You get a left grip in hand and a right trigger finger hand. So you get a right arrow holding hand for whenever she's using the bow, and then you get a left gripping hand for, I believe, her little switchblade. Then right out of the box on the figure, you have a right trigger finger hand, so maybe the other hand's for something else, and then you have another kind of open gripping hand, maybe for the bow. So now as the hand's done, we can move on to the weaponry, and Joel gets a machete. This looks pretty good. You can see it has a nice silver detail in there with the brown, a little bit of paint overlap in there. Then you have Joel's signature revolver, and since I come from 6 scale, I'm used to the weapons having some movement on them, a little bit of articulation, but this looks great nonetheless. You see some nice sculpted detail for the revolver. There's some silver paint, some black for the handle. The actual hammer for the revolver is kind of already cocked back, and this looks pretty good. Then Joel's shotgun is also nicely detailed. You can see some texture down there for the actual wood for the actual stock, and then you can also see some detail here for the grip on the pump action. This looks pretty great. You can even see the ejection port here, and I really like that. And now for my favorite weapon in the game, the bolt action rifle. I use the heck out of this in the game because I love just upgrading it to where it one-shots like everything, and this is such a fun weapon. This may be one of the best detailed as well. You see all the detail in there for the wood, even the stock right there, the actual grip. Yeah, this is looking fantastic. You see the nice silver on there for the magazine, the silver for the whole barrel, and you can even see the bolt right there. Man, I kind of wish they articulated, but I'll just have to wait for my 6 scale ones to come in to start playing with them. Then Ellie's pistol is very, very small, but also very finely detailed. You can see the brown in there for the grip, the silver for the actual barrel, metal parts. Yeah, that looks pretty great as well. Then Ellie's signature weapon, the switchblade. You can see the brown there for the grip, the silver all along the actual blade and everything. And once again, another fantastic looking, very tiny piece. And now for the bow. You could say it's Joel's or Ellie's. Both of them get a bow in the game. And of course, Ellie used it when he got hurt in the winter time. So I think this one is kind of meant for her. But the bow itself actually looks really good. You can see the brown there for the actual grip, and then the whole bow, of course, is brown. It's wood. Then one of the cool parts of this is that you can actually draw the string back. Of course, the actual plastic for the bow doesn't bend back with it, so be careful if you do this, but you can pull it back. It's a little elastic band in there, and you can actually, have her holding it back like she's about to shoot an arrow. And yes, after we look at the arrow, I will try shooting it to see if it actually works. And speaking of which, we might as well look at the arrow. So you see some reddish brown detail here for the feather, and then the actual kind of more charcoal color up here for the actual arrow tip. And at the base, you can actually see the little notch there for fitting it in the actual elastic band. So this piece does actually pop in here, so you can have it popped in there and it holds in case you want to pose them like that. But I'm going to pop it out and see if the bow works. So I wouldn't recommend this because it puts some tension on the string and then it increases the chance of it snapping, but I just got to see if it works. And yep, that works pretty well. See, the arrow flew all the way over there in my light box, and I'm pretty impressed. That is actually an awesome little feature. But that's everything they come with, so now let's get the figures back out here and take a look at them. So first, let's look at Joel in a little bit more detail. First up, the head sculpt looks pretty good. You see the nice hair texture, you see some graying in there, you even see his little scar on the nose, and yeah, I actually really like that. That looks really good, and I can just, looking at it right off the bat, I can just tell that is Joel. Then going down to the outfit, it's his green plaid shirt. It looks pretty good. You can see the sleeves are rolled up. I mean, some of the paint is gone on the shirt, and that's one thing that I don't know if it's super common amongst 12 scale, but at least these figures I've gotten, my first ones, the paint just kind of mixes in wherever it wants to. Because yeah, you can see it on the shirt there. The watch, unfortunately, has quite a bit of that paint on it as well. But detail wise, watch looks really good. You can see that's broken, and they had to nail that because that is one of Joel's defining features. So that's really good to see. And one thing that throws me off a little, maybe on camera you can't tell too much, but the skin color here that they use is actually a little bit different than the hand. So it kind of throws it off a little bit. The one thing I do like though is that the plastic here used for the bottom of the shirt is actually pretty soft. So you can actually just move it around if you really want to. The shirt itself is just nicely detailed. I love all the wrinkling in there. Although I will say the shirt, the way it kind of hangs makes it look like he's wearing sort of a dress, but that's just me. Then the jeans are also very nice. You see they're kind of baggy and wrinkly down at the bottom, and they added a little bit of white on top of the blue in there just to make it pop a little bit more. Then the boots look really nice. You see the brown, and they did a really good job painting the shoelaces because it looks like they didn't miss anything. Then on the bottom of the shoes, you even see they did the tread, which is really cool. And you see those little holes there? One cool thing about 12 scale, which I don't have yet, but it seems like most of the figures should be compatible with little like stands that you just peg into their feet. So I need to go on Amazon and buy some of those, but right now I don't have them. So for the posing section, I'm going to do my best to not make them fall over. But yeah, I'm kind of excited for that part. But talking about posing, 12 scale figures, they always have a lot of exposed joints. And yes, I keep saying 12 scale figures and stuff because these are my first ones. So they're a little bit new to me. So I'm kind of learning along with you guys. So the articulation is really good. You got the shoulder joints, you got some swivel in there for the arms. Of course, you can actually bend at the elbows. Then what I called out earlier is that actually on these hands, you can bend the actual peg to kind of make the hand move in a little bit. Maybe it's a watch looking at pose. And then for his neck, you can actually turn the head quite a bit, and you see that little split in there, so you can actually maneuver the neck around a little bit, but not too much, but you get a little bit of tilt in there. Then, although I don't really like how it looks, you do get the whole split along the torso for some, like, I guess bendability, although he really does not want to bend. You can move him a little side to side, but yeah, that's about it. Then the legs are pretty movable, so you can have Joel doing the splits if you really want to. You have a little bit of swivel up here at the upper thigh. Then, of course, you can actually bend down here at the knee. Then the boots themselves, actually you can bend a little bit, not a ton, but some more articulation than some Hot Toys at this point, because some of those boots you cannot move at all. And now we can go ahead and take a look at Ellie. The head sculpt is also pretty good. You can see the paint applications, everything in there. If I look at this, yeah, I can tell that's Ellie. Then, of course, she's wearing the signature shirt she always wore in the game. And you can see like the undershirt up here. Of course, her sleeves that go down and also cover part of the hands. So the setup for her shirt is a little different than Joel's. There's no like soft piece that hangs down. It's just all the joints in there. And then, of course, you can see like some wrinkling in the sleeves and the shirt. Then on the back, there's a little bit of a black splotch there. I don't know if it's intentional weathering or just accidental on some of these. Some of it looks intentional, like up along the sleeves. But then at the same time, I just can't tell. Then looking at her jeans, they're a bit wrinkly near the bottom and they bunch up, but they're more of like a skinny jean style than Joel's, so they're not as kind of baggy looking or as wrinkly. Then of course you can also see they put a little bit more of a whitewash or something along the top to give it a little bit more texture. Then just like Joel, I'm blown away by the shoes as well because they painted every shoelace in there. I mean, I don't know if it's as accurate, but they have a little bit of yellow around there instead of white for the actual shoe edge. And you can see they're just a nice red color. Then for articulation, her shoes have a lot of movement, so that'll be good if we have her in some crazy poses, although that's highly doubtful. Then most of it is similar to Joel, you got the leg joints, you have like some swivel up here, you can bend the arms, and then some of her hands actually also can bend like Joel's. But the unique part about her is you get a lot of torso movement, so you can bend her like that. I mean, doesn't really make the most sense, but you could do that. Hot Toys could never. And you can see she even has some side-to-side swivel, so that's pretty cool as well. Then for the head, you can just look around, swivel, whatever you need. So, like I expected, 12 scale figures have a lot more articulation than Hot Toys. So I gotta say, for only 45 bucks for these 12 scale figures, I am impressed. Of course, you can't really compare it to 6 scale as much, because like I said, I spent 700 bucks on a Joel, Ellie, and Clicker that are 6 scale. So obviously they're not going to be on that level of detail, but these are great. I am just really impressed by the fact that they can articulate super well because every joint's exposed. And looking at them, you can tell that's Joel, that's Ellie, and yeah, I just love these. I'm excited to pose them up. We are going to actually look at the backpacks again because we can put some of the accessories in it. So now let's actually put some accessories in the backpack. I'll probably pose with some, but let's just test this out because this is pretty cool. I love that you can actually do this. So for the shotgun, for example, you can open up this loop, kind of just slide it in there up to, maybe where the trigger is. And there you go. Got the shotgun sitting in there. Same with the machete. You can just take it, position, I guess, whichever way you want, and then work it in there. Just slide it down to around where the handle is, and now you got them just hanging in there. That looks fantastic. And now for Ellie's backpack. So what you can do, which I'm a little worried about this one, because yeah, on the elastic band, you can actually fit her bow into one of these loops. So let's do that nice and gentle. Just kind of work it in. I mean, it holds there. I don't want to force it too much, but it looks pretty good. And then actually there's a little hole here. So you can even do this. You can even slot the arrow. Yeah, just slot that right into the backpack. Have it sticking out a little bit. I mean, I think that's as far as it goes. It sticks out pretty far, but we're going to say that's as far as it goes. And then on the other side, if you want to, you can grab the rifle and also stick that in there. And I think that looks pretty good. So the bow's in there, the arrow, it's a bit tall. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look the greatest in my opinion, but it's in there. And then of course she's got the rifle. So now let's do the part I was looking forward to and actually pose the figures up right after we actually put the backpack on them. I know I do that a lot. I kind of forget about something and then we just go in there and do it real quick. So what you do is you just push the arms back, kind of work the little backpack arms just right over. If you need to, squeeze his arms in. And yep, nice and simple. Got the backpack on Joel. Now let's grab Ellie. And for Ellie, it's going to be the same thing. Arms back, and her joints are a lot looser than Joel's, which is something I noticed. So I guess I'll mention that. Maybe it's just mine. And get the backpack in there. Arrow's kind of falling out. And there we go. Got her backpack on. So now you can see Joel with the backpack with his weapons in there. And Ellie also with her backpack with her weapons in there. And this looks phenomenal. Yeah, this Joel and Ellie actually looks really good together. I mean, look at this first pose. So it's simple. We've just got Joel holding his revolver and Ellie's kind of, cocking her pistol, making sure everything's good. But yeah, these look fantastic. I think these two were the perfect first 1/12 scale figures for my collection because I love The Last of Us, and for the price of about 45 bucks, of course, on sale, it was perfect. When I was posing them up like this and even seeing that they could stand on their own without the little bases, although yes, I do want to get those so they don't fall over anything, I could tell I was going to love these, and yeah, I'm still pretty impressed. This looks great, but we could do a couple more poses. For this pose, I wanted to use the melee weapons. So you can see Ellie, she's kind of slashing with her little switchblade right there, and then Joel is holding the machete, and this looks so cool. So I'm having a lot of fun posing them. Since I don't have to fight the joints because there's no outfit covering it or anything, the joints are exposed because of course they're 12 scale, Of course, once I get my 6 scale figures of them in, I'll probably have a little bit more difficulty because of that, but we'll have to see. But like I just said, since the joints are exposed on these figures, oh, it's so much fun. You can see Joel have his knee kind of bent. He's got the machete in the air, and then Ellie, she's got her knee bent as well, just kind of doing her little slash with the actual switchblade, and this is so cool. Yeah, posing them is just so much fun. You can see Joel's using a shotgun, Ellie's using the rifle. They could be, defending themselves from infected at longer ranges. Yeah, this is just so much fun. I love posing these figures. You can see Joel and Ellie are using their long-range weaponry to maybe fend off some infected or something, but this is just so fun. It's probably because I'm nostalgic to The Last of Us. I played literally every version of it that came out, from PS3, PS4 remasters, PS5 remakes, and even on PC. But being able to actually pose them myself and just see them physically right there, it's just so incredible. But now we're going to give Ellie that bow, and then Joel's actually going to use the rifle himself. So let's just do that for the final pose. For this final pose, since I used it a ton in the game and it was my favorite weapon to use as Joel, I gave him the bolt action rifle. And then Ellie, of course, I gave her the bow. So this pose here is actually pretty awesome. So in my head, I'm thinking, Ellie's taking out some clickers or some infected quietly, and Joel's just standing guard just in case, they get caught or something like that. And yeah, this just looks fantastic. I'm having so much fun. So I will say I wouldn't recommend leaving her in a bow holding stance for too long, just because since that band's kind of elastic, it might lose its elasticity or just something like that over time. Just be a little extra cautious with it. But this is great, and although you guys can probably tell what I'm going to say in my final thoughts section, let's just head back over to the desktop and do that right now. So maybe a little obvious, but I love these figures. As my first 12 scale figures, I didn't know what to expect exactly. Finally getting them in hand and only seeing pics online or stuff like that, but I am impressed. But let's definitely start out with some negatives. So some stuff I noticed, some of the paint is kind of overlapping or not on pieces that's actually meant to be, which is a little disappointing. I'm assuming that's something common with 12 scale, especially around this price point. But it's just something I want to call out because if you're expecting almost perfection, then you can't really get that. but likeness wise and just the way the outfits work and like the soft actual plastic material used on Joel's shirt and then the actual backpacks, it's impressive. It's so much better than I actually expected. And honestly, now I'm kind of thinking I need to track down that Kratos, the Jin Sakai. I kind of need those. I'm gonna probably get almost all the PlayStation Shapes collection. I think that's what these are called. I'll probably pass on Alloy because I wasn't the biggest fan of Horizon Zero Dawn, but I'm kind of excited to see what else they come out with. Maybe they'll make a Nathan Drake, although you can see behind me, right behind Ellie here. Yeah, I have a 6 scale Nathan Drake, and that same company that made him, so go check out the review, are making the Joel and Ellie. So I'm gonna have it in 6 scale, but I kind of want to bring some 12 scale to the channel, and these are great figures. If you're a fan of The Last of Us, and you definitely want the lower price point than 6 scale, I think these are fantastic. Definitely go track these down. Like I said, I did find these discounted at Barnes & Noble, and Black Friday is coming up. So if you are looking for these, maybe you can find them on Amazon or something cheaper. Not 100% sure. Definitely around Amazon. I'm gonna probably make a video looking at different deals for collectors. But these are two that I think any Last of Us fan should track down. They're fantastic. So if you did enjoy this video, definitely give it a like. Definitely down in the comments, let me know what you think about them. Do you own them? Are you looking to pick them up? And do you collect 12 scale at all, or do you just stick to 6 scale? Because yes, that's the viewpoint this review is coming from. You can see behind me, I collect basically almost all 6 scale. And like I said, these are my first 12 scale. So I'm kind of used to the high price point for the highly detailed figures. But these ones, they just impress me. So of course, let's just talk about that down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe, because when the 6 scale Joel and Ellie and the Clicker come out, yeah, you're gonna see a review on the channel, because I am so excited for those. Those are probably my most anticipated figure. And as always, a special thank you to the channel members. If you like to see your name at the end of videos, definitely go down there, click the join button, and see if any of the tiers interest you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, month, week, everything, all the above. And until next time, stay 6 scale, although this was 12 scale, so, it's in my name, 6 scale theft, so stay 6 scale.